going to sit down and let our guest speaker please. We're going to start filming this now.
Got it.
Folks, welcome to our meeting today. We are the El Paso, Texas Prayer Warriors, which means we are always begging the Lord for His help and His mercy for this nation, for our state of Texas. And as you know, it's from the book of Chronicles. So please, we welcome Mr. Jerry Rosenbaum.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. When you walk into a new place, you always wonder what it's going to be like. And I walked in here and I saw the decorations and all the positive signs. I said, okay, this is going to be okay. My name's Jerry Rosenbaum. Mr. Rosenbaum was my dad. I have not been given the title of Mr. yet, so I just go by Jerry. I met Carol Cassidy at the Dinesh D'Souza movie, The Dragon's Prophecy. And I mentioned that my son he's not anymore, but he is in Israel. He was a soldier. He worked for the Border Patrol, is what's called over there. That was the unit in Israel at the time of October 7th. And Carol wanted to know my perspective. I can't give you any firsthand information about what happened there. I wasn't there. But I think what she wanted was a perspective as a parent so far away. And that is exactly what I am and what I was. There's a 9-hour time difference between El Paso and Israel. That means that for certain parts of the day, today is actually tomorrow in Israel. So for everybody who talks about October 7th, my October 7th began on October 6th. My kids, I have 2 in Israel right now. I speak to them about once a week. The soldier son, I won't give any names of anyone. First of all, no one gave me permission to, so anyone I mentioned, I won't give their names. There are groups of people trying to throw Israeli soldiers in jail. I don't know if you heard about in May of this year in Brazil, they tried to throw an Israeli tourist in jail just because he served in the Israeli military and was in Gaza. So I won't be giving any names out to anyone. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I'll start off just with a brief introduction as to what I went through. And if you're interested in asking any questions, I'll be happy to answer to the best of my ability. I don't hold myself out as an expert. I don't speak for any organization. I definitely don't speak for a multitude of peoples. I only speak for myself. So whatever groups of people are out there, while I may be aligned with them, I'm not authorized to speak on anyone's behalf. So whereas October 7th for me began October 6th, as I mentioned, I would speak to my kids once a week. Normally, my soldier son, I'll call him, if he'd call me, it would probably be once a week. It would probably be on Friday, early in the day, so he can wish me what's called a Shabbat Shalom, which means good Sabbath. And that is usually done before sundown because the Sabbath begins on Friday night. So he didn't call me that day, which is normal. He's in the military, he might be busy. So for me, it was normal if I didn't get a call from him also. Strangely enough, my phone rang at 10:50 p.m. Friday night, October 6th. That was very strange because it was my son, and I normally don't get calls from him Friday night. I might get it on Saturday, on Saturday, but definitely not Friday night. And I answered the phone. He told me that he would probably not be available to speak to me for several weeks. Something's going on in Israel. He doesn't have much information, but it's something big, and he may be unavailable for a few weeks. Don't be surprised if he can't contact me, and if I can't contact him, he just may not have phone service. So immediately, of course, as a father, wanted to know what was going on. There is a radio station in Israel called Galei Tzahal. That means waves of the waves being like the airwaves, radio waves. Tzahal is the military. Galei Tzahal is a radio station put on by the Israeli military for those soldiers. They have a lot of talk radio, most of which I don't understand, and it's in Hebrew. And they have a lot of music, could be any language in the world, a lot in English, a lot in Hebrew. I turned on Galei Tzahal, and there was music. I didn't want to hear the music, I wanted to hear what was going on. Unfortunately, all there was music. A few minutes later, I heard something, and what I heard, it was in Hebrew. I didn't really understand all of it, but I knew what it was. It's basically an announcement from the government, like you would have over here, the warnings, announcements, and the emergency broadcast system has a tone. That's not the way they do it over there. Over there, there'll just be a cut. The music's playing, there's a cut, and an announcer, not the announcer playing the music, but a government announcer will say, there's a missile attack in X, Y, and Z location, take shelter. Then the music continues playing. Well, I didn't want to hear the music, I wanted to hear what was going on in Israel. A little while later, the music breaks, there's another announcement. Again, Hebrew, I didn't really understand it all, but I knew it meant there's a missile attack, and the missile's coming in X, Y, and Z area, and you have to take shelter. Back to music. Again, another announcement. And after a while, I told you I didn't want to hear the music, I wanted to hear what was going on in Israel. Well, after a while, I didn't hear any music at all. Just announcement. Each announcement meant a missile in this area, in that area, all over the country. Well, not all over the country, but all over the place. And I changed my perspective immediately. I wanted to hear music. I didn't hear any music. Just announcement. There's an attack in this location, take shelter. Again, another announcement, another location. And that just went on and on and on. Then eventually, music started coming back a little bit to the opposite format, though. The missile attacks were coming, and then the music would interrupt the announcement of the missile attacks. And little by little, it just kept expanding with a little bit more music. That went on, I don't remember if it was till 2 or 3 in the morning. That was Saturday morning, that was October 7th. October 7th not only was the Sabbath, it's called Shabbat in Hebrew, but it was also a holiday called Simchat Torah, where we celebrate the end of the reading of the Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses, the scroll. We read it, finish it, and then begin the next portion at the beginning of the Torah. It's a really big deal. It's a big event, so much so that you're supposed to celebrate it with joy. That's a commandment. There's lots of things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to celebrate holidays. You're supposed to celebrate God with joy. Everything you do is with joy. This holiday is commanded to be celebrated with joy. Needless to say, it was very difficult to do that day. And where some people heard about it in the morning on October 7th, I knew about it the prior night. I knew about it last night. I knew what was going on. I didn't hear the results until later. The results being, I think, 1,200 people killed, 250 hostages taken. Hostages mean alive and dead. There's an organization in Israel called Zaka. Zaka is an extraordinary organization. And what they are known for is if there is a terrorist attack in Israel, a bomb explodes, they will actually go out to that site, and I don't want to be gross or disgusting, but it's a bombing, and they go and they find all the body parts of the people that were killed so that they can properly be buried. So that's the level of importance even the dead soldier is to Israelis and to Jews. So the fact that the terrorists took dead bodies, they knew exactly what they're doing. The fact that they still haven't returned the dead bodies, which are still called hostages, they know what they're doing. I did stop, thanks to President, and I do believe it's President Trump's involvement, although Israel would have done well on their own. I wore this for quite a while. It's a dog tag that I picked up when I was in Israel. Actually, this one was given to me by my son, which is in honor for that says we're behind the soldiers and want the return of the hostages. And then this one over here with the cover. This is the one that my son in Israel used to wear. He gave it to me also. These don't have to be worn anymore. Granted, there are still hostage bodies being kept by the terrorists. But from my perspective, and I'll tell you honestly, I was concerned about the live hostages. It's not that I'm not concerned about the dead hostages, but I don't know how many of you, as a parent, I don't know how many of your parents, but as from my side as a parent, I don't know how many of you heard about the father who heard that his daughter was taken as a hostage, but was actually killed, that his daughter was dead. This is towards the beginning of the war. And the father said, thank God. Story gets worse.
Yeah.
Because it turns out that his daughter wasn't dead. So what do you say as a father? Thank God. The horrors, though, as a father, is what's going on, what's being done to your children, what's being done to the hostages, all the hostages. The hostages were, some were Holocaust survivors, grandparents, brothers, sisters. When I arrived in Israel at the airport, and I don't know how many of you have been to Israel when you get, or recently within the past 2 years, when you arrive at the airport, you're walking down the hallway. After you get off the airplane, you get through immigration, customs. Actually, that's not true. First, you get off the airplane, then you have to walk to customs. Immigration. As you is walking to immigration, there are a whole bunch of posters, and those have the pictures of the hostages that are gone. Fortunately, little by little, some of those were removed because hostages were coming back. So even though I'm not wearing those dog tags, it doesn't mean I don't want all the hostages back. They should all come back. There has to be closure for the families. It's done on purpose. It's done to cause problems for the families. But at least all the live hostages are back, and no small part due to what President Trump did. And the Israelis know that. The Israelis have always backed, not all of them, but President Trump is very popular in Israel. So with respect to October 7th, that is basically the experience that I went through. I tried to give you a little bit of that experience. I wasn't in Israel at the time. That was October 7th. I did go to Israel in December, and when I went to Israel in December, I went to visit my son's roommate who was on base, the military base, who was on his military base, which was 3 kilometers, not miles, 3 kilometers from Gaza. When I was going to go down there, I don't have problems renting a car. I don't have a problem getting around. I use maps. Well, when I was in Israel, I was on the train getting around, trying to get around Jerusalem. And when I looked on my maps program, one time it told me I was in Egypt. Another time it told me I was in Jordan. So obviously something was going on for security reasons, and they changed the GPS signals to make sure you couldn't use it. So I was asked to take something down to deliver some stuff to my son's roommate that was serving 3 kilometers from Gaza. And I said, well, there's no way I'm going to make it there. I can't use maps, and it was okay. His fiance was going to go with me, so she knew how to get there. So she's in the car, she's giving me directions, and as we're driving down, this is a couple months after the attack. You couldn't see anything. Whatever attacks were going on the side. I was on the main road, couldn't see anything at all. I didn't know. She told me, well, that area over there, that's where the terrorists attacked and killed X number of people, and the other area, X number of people. So I'm driving by, I really couldn't see anything. Then I got to the base. You couldn't tell the war was going on. The war was going on in Gaza, and I at no time felt any concern for my safety or being in Israel. And if anyone's considering going to Israel, I'd say go ahead and go. You'll feel perfectly safe. At least I think you will. I did. Wherever you are, as long as you don't go way up north, and Hezbollah's not sending rockets specifically where you are up north, and as long as you're not far south and you're Gaza, right by Gaza, where they don't even have to send missiles. Before the missile attacks on October 7th, before that date, they weren't necessarily using missiles. They would get little balloons, helium balloons, and put little things underneath so they could be carried and light them on fire. And if the wind's blowing in the correct direction, it would land on the fields of the farmers over there and hopefully burn down their crops. The attacks have been going on all along. October 7th was just a big one. So the fact that October 7th existed or occurred, the fact that October 7th occurred doesn't mean that Israel wasn't being attacked before then. But the purpose of terrorism is to keep people away. One of the things I did, I was traveling back and forth to Israel and to other areas around there, and every time I would travel after October 7th, not necessarily before, but after October 7th, I made sure to always enter and exit Israel on one of the Israeli airlines. Why? Because if there would be any kind of attack, no matter how small, the non-Israeli airlines would just decide, well, we're not going to Israel anymore. That happened several times. So as long as I would book my flight to and from Israel on an Israeli airline, I felt I'd be able to make it back and forth. Then, except I did make a mistake in my plan. I actually was in Israel June of this year, 2025. I was going to be leaving, I think I got there in May, I don't remember when I got there, but I was going to be leaving around June 18th, and that's when the big war started between Iran and Israel. And I don't know how many of you have heard about the Six-Day War, but in 1967, there was a large attack in Israel. Actually, Israel did a preemptive attack because they were going to be attacked. That's known as the Six-Day War. And, well, there were several countries involved. Israel was surrounded by a whole bunch of Arab Muslim countries that wanted to destroy Israel. And that war took 6 days. I was in advanced math when I was in high school, and I figured, well, this is just Iran. And I figured that the citizens of Iran were going to overthrow the government. I didn't think it would take 6 days, so my flight was leaving, I think it was June 18th. The war started on Thursday, Friday, so next week, Monday, I'm leaving. And I guess I was a little too optimistic, and I thought, well, how long can the war last? So I thought it would be over in 2 or 3 days. I was wrong, it took 12 days. So my flight was extended. I didn't leave on the date I wanted to leave. But additionally, there were people that were in Israel, and the U.S. Embassy had something called rescue, not flights, but rescue evacuations. I didn't want to go on one of those. That was ridiculous. What am I being rescued from? I didn't feel any insecurities being in Jerusalem. I did have, by this time I wasn't listening to Galei Tzahal anymore. I had an app that my son told me about that I put on my phone that showed you all the missile attacks. Every night during the war at about 2 or 3 a.m. every night, my phone would go off. There's a missile attack. It only goes off in the air. You set the area you want. I set it for Jerusalem. And so every day at 2, 3 in the morning, the alarm would go off on my phone telling everybody to run to the shelters. So of course I went outside because I wanted to see how the Patriot missiles and all the Israeli Iron Dome missiles, how those missiles were going to be shooting down the Iranian missiles. Unfortunately, I never saw one. I just saw the streaks of the Israeli missiles shooting down, but I didn't get to see the missile actually knocked down. But that was the extent of my fear and concern being in Israel. I just wanted to go out to see how it was working, see what I could see, and I wasn't alone. Although in the shelters, because every building has a bomb shelter, every apartment over there, they're called apartments, basically a condo. If you have it, you don't rent, you might rent an apartment. If you buy something in the United States, it'd be called an apartment. Every floor on the apartment would have, on every floor of the apartment complex would have its own little bomb shelter. And when I go in there, I did go and just look around a few times. All the families with children were there. So if I had little kids, yes, I would have been in the bomb shelter also. I'm not recommending you go out and do it the way I did. I'm just letting you know I didn't have any concerns or fears while I was there. In addition to being in Jerusalem, I went to Tel Aviv after I heard about some of the attacks from some of the missiles that came from Iran landed in Tel Aviv. I did go to Tel Aviv. I tried to see what damage there was. I did see some damage to buildings, but I didn't see very much. So aside from the protections that are overseeing Israel with respect to the Iron Dome, the Patriot missiles, and all that kind of stuff, in my mind, there is obviously other protections going on in that area. And that's what I feel when I'm in Israel. I feel those protections, and that's one of the reasons that I'm not really concerned. So if anyone has any questions, I think I gave you pretty much my idea of kind of what I went through October 7th, what went on recently in the Iranian war, and if there's something I know, I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, thank you for listening.
So how is your son?
I'm sorry?
Your son, how is he?
Oh, he got out of the military. He was, his unit is called Magav, which basically is in the United States be called Border Patrol. And what they do is they protect the interior of Israel. Just like in the United States, the military isn't supposed to be going, operating in the United States, which could seemingly be against their own citizens. Border Patrol can be in the United States. It's the same thing. So thank God he's fine. He got out of the military just before, he finished the service just before the Iranian war. He originally told me he wanted to sign up again. He wanted some time off, then he was going to sign up again, but probably a different unit because he wanted to go into Gaza, which he never got, which he never did. And now the war's over, so he said he's not going to sign up again. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Yes?
I have a question. Do you know why they have such a flimsy border wall? I mean, from what I saw in all the videos, Egypt's wall is humongous, because they don't want anybody from Gaza going over there. but between Israel, you know, when they crossed over, I mean, it was just like a wire fence.
As I understand, one of the failures of October 7th on the side of Israel is that they didn't believe that the threat was coming from Hamas. They thought the threat was coming from Hezbollah. So with respect to what intelligence they had, what they thought was going to happen, and Israel usually has pretty good intelligence, they miscalculated where the threat was coming from. With respect to the fence that you're talking about, I don't know it's because of a political structure. There is a question as to whether you even want to have a fence at all. I remember when Ariel Sharon, I was very much opposed to this. Ariel Sharon was a prime minister. He used to be a general, a general in the military. When he became prime minister, he was a very powerful general. So everyone was concerned, what was he going to do? And everyone was concerned about terrorist attacks in Israel because Ariel Sharon, the general, was going to do something about it. Well, he didn't. And he actually pulled all the Jews out of Gaza, left all the infrastructure for whatever agricultural endeavors were going on where they could have over there what the Jews had set up. He left all that for the Palestinians. The Jews were taken out by force. So when you say that they don't have a wall like the Egyptians do, that's because partially, or probably possibly because people are against setting up a wall showing a boundary between Israel and that area, because all of that was also Israel. So it's like sectioning off northeast El Paso and then putting a fence up and saying that where that wall is, that's northeast El Paso. No, it's El Paso. And so that might be one of the reasons. And another reason is that they did have it secure. They had ways to know the people were coming over. It's just that on October 7th, the attack was so massive that the wall isn't meant to keep people out. That fence isn't meant to keep people out. Israeli military is meant to keep people out.
Yeah, but when you have those kind of enemies,
You're correct.
you know.
You're correct. But if you look at who the terrorists killed, even that is interesting. I'm not sure how much you know about the Jewish religion, but the Sabbath is a very important day. That's every week. Observant people don't go out and have parties on Friday night and Saturday. You also wouldn't do it on holiday. There are some, especially in the United States, some Jews who think erroneously that the Sabbath is less important than a holiday, like in this case, in Torah. The people that were attacked at the music festival were obviously not very observant Jews. Also, the people that were attacked at the kibbutzim could be called pro-Palestinian. What do I mean by pro-Palestinian? If someone would be coming, let's say from Gaza, they were Palestinian, and they needed to have a ride to the doctor's office, they would come across, and the people at the kibbutz would take them to the doctor.
Yes.
It gets even better than that.
Yeah.
On October 7th, the terrorists who were attacking, they knew exactly, they had maps of in the kibbutzim, there were, I think, 3 kibbutzim that were attacked, and other villages, but they had a map of the kibbutz, and they knew who lived in which house, and which house had how many arms. And how did they have that information? Because the kibbutz themselves hired Palestinians to work over there. That's how the Palestinians had all of that information.
Well, that's true, but nevertheless, Palestinians, I would say probably 99%, they hate Jews, and their goal is to kill all the Jews and take, I mean, I saw a lot of videos, I saw a lot, so, if they had their way, if they could just go across that wall and kill everybody, they would. So
When I
that's why
was,
I'm saying that they need another fence,
when I was
especially
growing up,
after what happened.
when I was growing up in Hebrew
There's no
school,
reason.
they taught us that there was a golden age in Spain where the Muslims ruled that area and the Jews were getting along very well with the Muslims, and that was the golden age. That's what I was taught. What the
The
Palestinians were
century
taught.
was what?
I'm sorry, no, that was true.
Yeah, what century, I know.
Oh yeah, no, what I'm just talking about, this is what I was taught in school.
I know,
I'm trying to give a dichotomy here.
right.
What the Palestinians are learning in math class is if you have 5 Jews and you kill 3, how many do you have left? When the kids go to camp, they learn how to put on the explosive vest, the suicide vest. So, as I said, as I started with my comments, I'm not speaking for anyone else. So I don't know that anyone else has my point of view.
We'll wrap it
They
up
should. However,
now. We'll wrap it up.
the Palestinian people, in my opinion, are a creation of the Arab world for the purpose of destroying Israel. That is probably one of the reasons that none of the Arab countries will take in the Palestinians, because wherever the Palestinians go, they try to take over that country. And people call them a death cult. What they are in actuality, the whole purpose of them, of their birth and all their children, is for their children to die in the destruction of Israel. That is the goal, and that's their purpose of existence. And the reason that Israel, or the idea of attacking Israel on October 7th, the idea that terrorists had, was that all of the Arab countries were going to join in on the attack. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So, now, that doesn't mean that all the Arab countries love Israel, but they didn't join in. And it was basically Iran that financially supported all that.